as well.
Okay.
So everybody has interesting.
So based on what, so we have what we could gather.
You can't hear me?
Each introduced by the guys, what is preventing these goals from being met? What with the authors about this? And then
Mute yourself.
Y'all want to watch it, but y'all have to go.
Bree.
I like videos.
Mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know you started the live.
Yes.
So I was backstage and I was trying to get out of the Zoom and then I messed up. But anyway, I'm here.
Okay. All right. That's why I was like, mute yourself. Mute yourself. I thought you were asking me, can I hear you? And I was like, yes.
Yeah, I did not know you started.
Yeah.
2 hours ago?
No.
Dude, my StreamYard is really fucking up. It keeps telling me everyone started 2 hours ago. I don't know how to get.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
You started a minute ago.
Right. Hi.
Hi. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I just.
You don't have to tonight if you need it. I know you got class. I know you're busy.
No, the class ended. They went over. We were supposed to be done at 7, girl.
Oh, shoot.
Get me up out of there.
Dang. Tia, we heard nothing. Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm exhausted. I'm already upstairs in bed. As soon as this ends, it's done.
As soon as this ends, I'm going to get food.
I am definitely ready for bed. Today was a long day.
I need all the food. All the food in my stomach. That's what I need. I need to get gas too, but I'm ready. I speed read, not really, but I read the first 2 volumes and the half of the third last night and then finished the other half in between sessions. So it's fresh is what I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. All right, y'all. So we are going to keep this hopefully within an hour. I had an early morning. Bree's been working. She's had a class. So we are here to discuss. And, that's about it. But I hope everyone's doing well. We are here to discuss Radiant Black Volume 3. This is our first selection for the realm of comics for 2023. I believe Radiant Black was my choice, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So Radiant Black was my decision, or my selection, I should say. I heard about Radiant Black through a couple of people who were on the comic side of YouTube. And I was collecting the single issues when it originally came out. So this for me was kind of a reread, but then kind of not a reread, only because I decided to start collecting or wait to read it in trades because the series was so good and I just needed a collected format. So
I was very shocked how much I enjoyed it. But go ahead.
So this is written by Kyle Higgins. I always say to people, like, if you've got like Power Ranger vibes from it a little bit with the different colors, Kyle Higgins also wrote Power Rangers. So that probably makes some sense. Some additional information, what I figured out in reading the first 3 volumes. Volume 4 comes out in maybe April, May-ish of this year. We have a bind up of Radiant Pink coming out in, I want to say March. Yeah. And then there's also, so the superhero that our 2 characters talk about, Cowl, Cowl, is actually a comic that Kyle has written as well.
Wow. So I didn't know Power Ranger was a thing. You just told me. I just thought it was a TV show.
Oh, yes, comics. Yeah.
Just let me know. Volume 4 comes out July 18th.
Okay, July 18th, and March is Radiant Pink, and Radiant Red is already out as well. So this is really like kind of like an extensive world that Kyle Higgins has created. And I almost wish I would have read, or whenever I made the suggestion, that I would have said to do volume 1, volume 2, Radiant Red, then volume 3, then Radiant Pink. The reading order. So
Yeah, one more time.
Okay, so the main, because essentially what I think, and I'm kind of digging into this a little bit early before we ask everybody, their ratings and stuff. So I think that this is Kyle Higgins' take on superheroes. That's just the vibe that I get from it, kind of from a millennial perspective.
Yeah, I literally put it in my notes for volume 1 when he said, what did he say? He said, why does superheroes have to be good at everything, when he was helping the person fix the tire?
Why can't they just be bad at something? I definitely feel like it's superhero vibes with millennial thought processes woven into it. But what I was saying for the reading order, your main, what I would think would be kind of like your main continuity is Radiant Black. So you have volume 1 of Radiant Black, volume 2 of Radiant Black. Then I think it would make sense to read Radiant Red, then Radiant Black volume 3, and then Radiant Pink volume 1. I don't know if that's legit, but by publication, I think that's the order. Kind of like how we read Something is Killing the Children 1 through 3, then we read
House of Slaughter,
and then we read volume 4.
Yeah,
kind of that same idea.
Yeah, started.
Yeah, so let's start with ratings. I haven't marked anything on Goodreads, have not written a single review.
No, I marked it red, and that was it.
That was it? Okay. What rating would you give each volume?
5, 5, and 5.
Oh, so I picked something that you liked. I always get so happy when I pick something you're like, this was good.
It was good. Like I won't lie. If I just read volume 1 and didn't read any more, it probably would have been a 3. But then when I added, like I kept getting more and more. And volume 3 really kind of just, it came from my heartstrings.
It was a lot of sadness in volume 3.
But I'm loving how volume 1, it walks us through Black, how we came, whatever, the world. And then if there's somebody's coming. And then 2, now in volume 1, I think we got Radiant Black and Radiant Blue stories a little bit.
Radiant Black and Radiant Red.
Red and Red, sorry. And then we got Blue in 2. And then we got Yellow, right? In 3. Or am I mixing up colors?
So it's only 4 of them. He looks blue, but he's Radiant Black. So that's our 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
My bad.
So then so it's Radiant Black, Radiant Yellow, Radiant Pink, and Radiant Red.
So we got Pink in 2, right? Volume 2.
Pink in volume 2, yes.
2, and then we got Yellow in volume 3.
3, exactly.
So another thing, I know we ain't there yet. I don't know. Go ahead. You were leading it. I was about to say something. Speak my grievance that I had.
Okay. So we have 3 stars for 2 volumes I read. Not for me. Get it? Understandable. Volume 1 was a 3 or 4. Volume 2 was a 4. Volume 3 was a 5. Yeah, volume 5 is like...
Yeah, volume 5 was really good. Yeah.
But if I was to rate it, it would be 4, 4, 5.
Yeah, that's probably more... I'm trying to rate the whole series. Like I said, if right now I'm at a 5 for the whole thing. But like I said, if I was like only read volume 1, it would have been a 3. And then 2 would have been a 4. And then 5 would have been a 5. But volume 1 would only be a 3 if I didn't know about 2 and 5. So I'm confused. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. We've got 4.5, 4.5, 5. All 5. 4.45 plus. 4, 3.5, and 4. I have just one thing that hit wrong, especially this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. In volume 1, predominantly. I guess I kind of took it in the sense that this was, you know what I'm saying? This came out before, so I'm trying not to project any feelings that I have on that, but it's understandable if you do and how you feel about it. I
Yeah.
100% get that.
I had
I
to do
respect
that
that.
with Saga, and I couldn't do it with Paper Girls.
Yeah, it's a kind of a detachment thing, which
Yeah.
it happens, but I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. In volume 1, oh my God, now I'm mixing up the volumes. Hold on, I wrote it down. In volume 1, yeah. In volume 1, my beef. Are we there yet or no?
Still getting some.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll wait.
still getting
I'll hold
some.
it.
3, 4, 4.5. 4. Scarl, is that all the way through? Or is that a mistime? Yeah, volume 1, it wasn't a church, it's a statement of how our world is. Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead with volume 1.
Volume 1, my only beef was with fucking Radiant Red in volume 1. Because this is my thing. First off, I would have beat up my husband. I'm sorry, husband to be. You're not about to take this money up out of my account and then blame me for it. I just felt so triggered in that moment. And I think it was Radiant Red, right? But the beef was really with Radiant Red, who was like, hey, I'm going to beat up Radiant Black, but I was just trying to scare him. You did a lot of damage. I don't get how you thought that was a scare. Like, you took down a whole building. You kept throwing this man around. And then he ends up critical, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't mean to. I'm having a hard time. So when he was like upset and mad at her, I was team him, the friend, because I was like, there's no way you did all this damage. And then you're like, I was just trying to scare him. Trying to scare somebody is like maybe punch them or like send them a threatening text or like something like that. You called not only bodily harm, physical harm to the building and to other people's lives. So I don't get how you thought. This man was like, hey, everybody get out of the building. Get out of the building, it's going down. And you're like, oh, I scared him. I was trying to scare him. That pissed me off more than anything. And I don't think, even though I also know why Radiant Red did what they did and why they had to rob the banks and such, I'm still so upset with that character.
I wasn't. And the reason why I wasn't upset with any characters is because I think the intention behind this entire thing is the imperfect nature of humans being superheroes. Because it's almost as if it's Kyle Higgins' commentary on how perfect superheroes have been throughout, the Silver Age, the Golden Age of comics, even in some modern comics. It's this perception that heroes do no wrong. They can't do anything wrong. They're perfect in nature. So even knowing that it was a huge or gross assumption on her end to even think that it would be remotely appropriate to say, I was just trying to scare him. But I think it was because you literally get to see the failures of every single one of them. And her flaw, I think, was that moment as well as robbing those banks. I think Marshall's issues was Marshall got too cocky and thought he knew everything, and that's how he ended up fucked up. Radiant Pink, her issue is that she was so, one, I think she beat herself up about not having purpose, which for I think superheroes is they always know where their greater purpose is and to save and serve humanity. She didn't have that. She wasn't good at time management. She wasn't good at thinking about anybody but herself sometimes in the moment.
Even
And
being
then
in
you
a
have this, you have the same thing with Radiant Yellow, who was so consumed by this need to prove his worth because he had his PhD and he wanted to make it to the top that he neglected all of his responsibilities at home as a husband and as a father.
Yeah.
So while I definitely think that initially reading that volume 1, it's easy to get irritated. I think it's intentional to some degree because he wants you to see that all of them are flawed. And it's just, for me, it was just this huge kind of pushback on what you traditionally consider to be a superhero, which is why I'm so interested in reading his other work, COWL, because I think that this is kind of, I think it's a superhero, like 50, 60-ish vibe type of story. So I'm wondering how, or whatever commentary he makes in that, how it's applicable to this one.
Yeah. I also, that makes a lot of sense, what you're saying. I also think that the part of like it being kind of futuristic as well. I think it's a lot of commentary on just how life is right now. It's one of the reasons why I really like oh my God, he wrote Saga.
Brian K. Vaughan.
That's why I like Brian K. Vaughan's work because it's social commentary. And I'm realizing I really like social commentary in comics, which is crazy because I hate them in literature, like in novels. I'd be like, no, let's exit out of here. Especially when they're like covered in sarcasm or I don't understand it when it's a novel. But when it's a comic, I can kind of see where you're going. Probably the visual aids too. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that as well. I even wrote down in my notes like addiction really fucking sucks because it's like addiction itself is selfish. So it's like hard to, even though we understand why people become addicted to things, whether it's substances, gambling, shopping, whatever, those are all addictions. But it's like it's usually some underlining thing of like something in life they can't handle it or it is hard, so you go to addiction. But you know, continuing to use it or having to feed that fix can be viewed as selfishness because the people on the other end or in your life who is not in that addiction with you is like, why are you putting this addiction over such and such, right? So it's like the also when people are having withdrawals, they act like her husband, get angry, get upset, blame shit on other people, then themselves. And then, you know, she's like, oh, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. But then he cried and was like, I need you. I need you. Some people can view that as manipulation. Like you're manipulating me to stay in this relationship and I'm ready to head out. And then she getting these powers thought, I have powers. I have this ability. It goes back to what you were saying about like social commentary. And in volume 1, Marshall asked the other guy, his best friend, like, you just chilling with these powers. I would do so many things. The difference between me and you is that I'm willing to try more things than you are. And I think about that as well with Radiant Red, who was like, look, I got these powers. I'm going to do action. Action is robbing these banks. So it's like you are using your power to get money, enabling your husband to continue to persist and exist in his habit. So it's like you replacing this money is not letting him know that what he did was wrong. Like his addiction is problematic and he needs to work towards it. You're just like, I'm going to show up with this money and make it all better, but that's enabling in itself. So it's I don't know if I'm making sense. I just feel
No,
like
you're making sense. I think it's definitely, I think one of the other aspects of this too is that like no character in this it's no black and white with any of the characters in
Mhm.
this series whatsoever, because there's, she was enabling, but then you can also look at it from the lens of, or in addition to, there was a certain level of empathy I think I felt for Radiant Red, because a lot of people, whenever they see situations like that, they think, oh my gosh, why are you letting this happen? And why are you letting someone take advantage of you? Why do you? But I think it's easy to say that from the outside, but
Mhm.
even a couple of pages before that in the panel, her mother was like, she never gives up on people. She cares so much. And a lot of that too, people take advantage of that. And I think that's emotionally, mentally, and honestly, he's being financially abusive. And so it's easy to get caught up in that cycle of just wanting to fix it, wanting to fix it, wanting
Yeah.
to fix it.
And she's
Even if
a
you
woman.
know, yeah, even if you know that what you're doing is wrong, you care and love for this person, or you have a personality that is just so stuck on helping people and fixing people, the need to help and fix and fix and fix and fix.
Mhm.
And so I think from the outside, it's easy to judge it from one lens. But what I also saw Higgins doing was bringing us on the inside. So there was some empathy building going on where it's like, yeah, this is
Absolutely.
wrong, but also see it from the internal lens when people asking, why don't you just leave the situation alone? It's never that easy.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was kind of like you said, like I agree with you, like coming in from two perspectives. I'm like, girl, come on. This
Yeah.
man took all of your money from your bank for graduate school.
Yeah.
Kick
Mhm.
his ass out. He got
Yeah.
to go. But then the more I kept reading it and reading into it, I was like, slow your roll. Yes,
Yeah.
she should kick his ass. But imagine how emotionally difficult it is to be in a situation like that. So it's just
Yeah.
two things. So you feel
They
it's like
both exist.
conflict. It's
Yeah,
like
they
conflict.
both exist because it's also like, okay, he's experiencing addiction this way, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't seem like it's something that he can help or
Yeah.
is looking to get help for,
Yep.
right? And then
Mhm.
she's socialized as a woman, fix,
Mhm.
and she is like, even when they had the discussion, she was like, "Hey, I'll give you my money." You know what I mean? Like, "Hey, you can take the money." But it's like they both are not doing the healthiest things for each other to
Mm-mm.
make sure that they both are living their best.
We need to read Radiant Red.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do, because I feel like this conversation with her specifically as a character, I feel like I would want to have a discussion just about that, because I feel like we would
oh, we
get
can.
so much just probably out of that one volume and get more backstory to how, because I felt like it was just a sliver
It was a sliver, yeah, because I was like, there's something of the parent dynamic
that
as
we
well
missed.
that we
Yes,
miss. I thought
yes,
that too. I said
yes.
there are levels to this, but like I'm saying, like all of what we're saying can exist at the same time.
Yep, at the same time.
And it is, like Alicia said perfectly, you can understand her frustration and desperation. It's like,
Mhm.
I get it, but it's
Like,
both of them are
kick his ass out.
I would kick his ass out, but also it's like there's emotions there. This is somebody you want to
Yeah,
marry. Like this is
yeah.
someone you thought about spending the rest of your life with.
Life with, yeah.
So even though I from the outside want you to be like, motherfucker, I'm gonna see you. That is hard. That's so easier said than do when I'm not the one in emotional ties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not the one in it, spinning it around, living life. So, oh my God, me and Jessica, our ratings.
Oh, the same. Yeah.
The same. Oh my gosh, we stay vibing.
Mm.
But yeah, so yeah, that's man, it's and even like when we think about Radiant Yellow, like this is a perfect example of a black man literally trying to do the best he could, and just shit was just stacked and stacked and stacked
Against him.
and stacked against him. It's like this man moved his whole family to like get a better job, only for the white man to say, "Hey, we had to move things around," and then
But
for him to
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
cut
but
you off.
and then for him to lose his job and then lose his marriage and then his daughter looking at him sideways, and he's trying his best, and he's the one that's seen as the provider. I'm looking at his partner like, what are you doing? Like, are you making money, or are you just at home? Or like, not saying anything wrong with stay-at-home moms. I just in my relationships, I need partnership in almost everything. Like I can't be the sole mug bringing in money. I can't be the sole mug washing the toilet. Like, you're gonna have to get that too. So I don't know what her role was per se. So there was just things about that I didn't quite understand. But I think we would need more information on that too.
I was just looking to see if there were any plans. I mean, it would make sense for him to do, because he's done a Radiant Red, he's done a Radiant Pink. And I feel like Window is going to play a bigger role than what we're seeing right now, because that volume 3 definitely tapped into his ability. He's almost like a Doctor Strange. It's just the vibes I got every time I he was talking about.
Oh my God, Ashley.
This is so much fucking Doctor Strange.
Me and you. I was like, oh, I love this time.
It's a time, yeah.
Time, like I think it was in volume 2. He mentioned something. It was like a one-liner about time, and I was like, we better come back to this. We better come back to this. I'm coming back for you, baby. I'm coming back for you.
Hold on. I'm trying to see, y'all. Yes. Okay, so let me see.
Scarlet Moon.
Kyle Higgins teases 2020. Oh, no, that was 2022. I don't care about 2022.
Also reminds people that the perfect Instagram relationship really doesn't exist. That pressure to maintain that image is real. Yeah, because it's like, ain't that a saying about something when the cameras come off? Forget what it's called. There's a saying about something when the cameras come off. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know?
I forget what it's called, but it's like something when the cameras come off. And I've missed it.
Well, I don't see anything just yet teasing if we would get a Radiant Yellow standalone. I mean, it would make sense, but I think that's definitely a storyline that he should explore in further detail, because Kyle Higgins did a nice job with writing that. From the perspective in which he was writing that, he did a hell of a job with that. I was not expecting that to be as emotional of a volume as it was. It definitely was a tug at your heartstrings. Wendell just can't seem to catch a break, and I love how he did play with time in that section, how we're getting him. We know how he's going to end up, but we're just watching it all just unfold. And it makes me question... It makes me question how everything's playing out in the future, because that 3rd volume ends and Wendell's like, I have to stop this. Hey, Kathleen. And that freaked me out, because I'm thinking like, okay, he has to stop it. I thought he would be happy that Marshall and what's the other guy's name?
Logan? Is that it?
No.
Okay, making up shit. Got it.
Making shit up. It's not Logan. What's that boy's name, y'all? This is a shame I forget names that quick.
I do. Please don't ask me. Here hanging out. I've called Radiant Blue and it's Radiant Black. I said, wait a minute, that don't sound right. But then you clarified it. So
Marshall and Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. Like Nathan Hot Dogs.
Nathan.
I think that I guess for me as a reader, when I was going into it, I was expecting him to be like stupid excited that Nathan and Marshall had figured out how to share that power. But it confused me too, because I'm like, well, how is this possible that they're both tied to this one orb when everybody else seems to have this single connection? And I thought it was a means to be excited, but that those final panels before we really get into Wendell's story was kind of like, he was like, he's going to be pissed. And I had forgotten about the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
the guy that they had met in the beginning. I
Mm-hmm.
had forgotten all about him
Mm-hmm.
until Wendell was like, he's going to be pissed. I said, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about old dude who they, it was like they got rid of him, but not really, because
Yeah.
Marshall interacted with him again.
Yeah.
But once again, I keep saying that I think Kyle is creating this whole entire universe of his own.
Yep.
That's a superhero thing, with just because there's so many superhero kind of tropes in this, where
Mm-hmm.
you have our superheroes who have this one big entity that
Mm-hmm.
they can't, they just are stuck. Like, think Thanos, think Darkseid, like this huge, but they have other small villains that they have to deal with along the way. But there's this one big entity that they just can't seem to get rid of. It's that same feel, that same dynamic. Like, I'm like, okay, Kyle, look at you coming up with an indie comic book universe of your own, even if people don't see it that way just yet.
Mm. Nice. Radiant Pink. So you must have read it, Elise's. I didn't.
I have a soft spot for her just in general too. She's what I'm perceiving to be panic attacks.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, and you get that before you even dive into her story. She has a panic attack when they all meet for the first time.
Yeah.
She's having a panic attack, and I said,
He had a
okay,
panic attack in Russia.
yes. And so I was interested. I don't think I had made it that far when I originally read it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting seeing that kind of incorporated into her storyline. But my heart went out to her because she made me feel how we feel being content creators. I was reading her, and I was like,
I wrote that in my notes. I was like,
sis, you get it. The constant need to, like, and I think that's just a testament to how the hustle mentality that exists amongst our generation.
I
Like,
talk about it all the time.
the hustle, because like, even when she was going through and reading the parts where she was like, hey, I'm sorry, I got to delay the stream. We panic. We feel guilty about it. And then you have people from corners of the internet making commentary about you without any regard to what's actually happening in your real life.
Literally, she said something. She was like, don't never let me forget about it. I was like, when Ashley fell asleep.
Oh, yeah.
The first thing I thought about when I fell asleep. People never let me forget about it.
And it's just, but not realizing. And even though I think I've gotten so used to it at this point that it doesn't register sometimes.
No, when I read it, I said, that's me and Ashley with the sleep.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Right away, I said, okay, let it go now.
She was hustling so hard. She just couldn't catch a break, and just trying to, for her, I felt like, go ahead.
Oh, and hustling so hard at 1,500 followers, by the way.
Yeah. 1,500 followers.
That's why I was like, this girl is living my life.
And just trying to, I think, I don't want to say feel relevant, but feel like she had purpose.
Yeah. The internet does that for a lot of folks, especially if you ain't got something outside of it, which is why I know it may seem crass or seem like whatever, but actually I've said this multiple times. Like, some of y'all ain't got no friends or no jobs, and it shows. And it's just one of those things. And even if you have friends and you have a job, sometimes content creating takes over, that you forget to reconnect with your friends and other things in your life, family. It's just, you can get caught up in it at certain times, and people looking at you like the girlfriend was. So it was just so relatable, and
it's super relatable. I think too, like, I think it's almost a cautionary tale too of seeking validation via, like you said, seeking validation via the internet. And we know, Bree and I know, a lot of people who do it, even if it's not obvious to viewers. it's something that you'll see in the background where, and it's not a drag, it's not a diss, but literally you see this kind of reflected in this character where her level of feeling validated was based off of that engagement through the sponsorship thing. I thought of you instantly.
I
They
felt
emailed me
attacked.
today, by the way.
Recently, I felt attacked. I had to like put the damn thing down. I said, first off, person who wrote this, if you don't get the hell up out, the sponsorship had me nervous on the edge of my seat. Do you hear me? I was like, they wrong
The
for
cookie can't
this.
crumble. There shouldn't be any. I was like,
It's me.
oh my! As soon as I was reading that section, I was like, didn't we just have this experience? And they emailed me today.
Oh my God. Today?
They did.
I said,
Become lifelong partners.
I said it's wrong, it's wrong, it's rough. Like, no, it was so hard. And it's like, and another thing that I felt is when they were in in Radiant Pink, and her girlfriend was in the coffee shop or whatever getting food. And she was like, oh, I gotta respond, or I gotta respond. And I said, man, I've been there.
All the fucking
I've
time.
been there. And
the
then I've been there, and I said, I've also been in the receiving end where like Ashley is like my sister. She's one of my best friends in the world. And I know I have not seen her yet, but she is. She's amazing. And I love that I can call her and we can talk about what the fuck ever. And I know it's not going to be like, of course, it's going to be content creating splashed in there because that's what we do. But I know that every time Ashley calls me, it's not going to be about content creating. You know what I mean? Or every time
I'm done with you. You need to log off.
It's not going to be about that. And there are people in the community. I don't give a shit. I'm speaking my truth. There are people in the community who only calls me for content creating.
Log off.
And I'll be like, well, how you doing? What's up with you?
Log off.
What I'm saying is, I've been the mug texting and I've been the mug frustrated. You understand? And I just be like, damn. It's very few people I can just call and be like, what you doing?
And you know? What are you doing? Nothing. Oh, I'm just calling.
You know how many times I be calling Deidre at work?
Child.
I be like, Deidre, it was a rough day. At work. Waking up Shay for what reason? I don't woke up Shay to talk about random shit.
Random
shit. So like I'm just saying, like I understand being the one who feel like you gotta respond. And also like YouTube is a visual platform.
It is.
It's a visual platform. And not only is it a visual platform, we depend on our followers, our fan base, to help us grow and to help us with our income. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. To help you with also your income. There are people who take it too far. I'm not gonna lie. Take it a bit too far. And there are people who find balance, and there's people who just be like, whatever, I'm dipping in and I'm dipping out. But it's like, because of those things, sometimes I feel like people are expecting immediate access from content creators. Like, I feel guilty if I don't respond to your comment right away on my video. I feel guilty if, you know, you somebody who's been riding with me and I don't respond to you until a week later. You know what I mean? Like, there's some guilt that comes with it. So when she was in knockoff Best Buy freaking out, I said, sis, I've been there. I've been having the computer ain't working and people every chance they get talking about old Benita. And I know it was a lot of jokes, but still, Benita, she was going through it.
And I think too, like, you know, like
they need $5.
I think I agree with all of that. Because and even the sense of like, you have something come up or you're sick and you feel bad, you don't want to cancel. You know what I'm saying? So her story definitely was, to be honest, I ain't finna lie to you. I think that Wendell's story caught me the most in terms of empathy and
Oh,
feeling so much for someone who just was trying so hard to do it all right. But let me tell you, Radiant Red and Radiant Pink came for me. Okay, it wasn't no. It was there was some empathy there, but it was like, why do I feel attacked? Why do I feel like these two humans are like me, like living comic versions of me? It was just strangest experience because I'm like, dang, if Kyle Higgins doesn't know anything, he knows how to capture what it's like to be a millennial. I'm done. Why are y'all still talking about this computer?
see, Bonita was hustling. Shout out to Bonita. I don't know where she at in this house, but she's still great. But for real, the millennial experience was just top tier. And the other day I realized that I was sounding a little bit like a boomer. This is a side note. And I had to wheel it back and I was like, you're no longer the hip and cool generation. And that hit me. I said, I'm no longer a hot girl. I'm no longer what is it? The topic of conversation.
No, we're not. It's Gen Z now. And
Whoa.
I knew that I
That
was
hit
like,
me.
I knew something was up when I came out my mouth and I said, because somebody said, oh, and it wasn't even the book community. Somebody like just outside of the book community had said, oh, you're not on TikTok. That's not laid that to the young kids. And I'm like, wait, hold on, what? Like it was a definite, but listen, it's also that. It's that whole all definitely, well, not Radiant Yellow per se, but definitely I would say Radiant Black and Radiant Pink. This adulting, like, what
It's
is it?
trash.
It
I've been
is.
trying to warn people.
It's.
Listen, it's ghetto. Don't 10 out of 10, 10 negative 10, 10 negative, negative 0 recommendation.
You see that with Marshall, where Marshall just is like, and it's interesting. Let me tell you something else before I get into Marshall. It's amazing how Kyle Higgins technically is getting you so invested in this main story arc, right? You're getting stupid invested in these side characters. Think about it. It's been 43 minutes and we haven't even really talked about Marshall and Nathan as characters.
I'm invested.
That's amazing that you've gotten so sucked into these side characters that you could talk about them and not even realize the main storyline is not even about them.
Yeah.
It's about Nathan and Marshall.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. The existence reminded me of facing your mental health. You can't lie to oneself.
I
When
like
you
that.
went
I like
through
that.
and he said, tell the truth. He said, I am. He said, you're lying. He said, tell the truth.
I don't know what is the truth.
He said, I don't know what is the truth.
Yeah.
Found out he hate himself. So it was guilt that really led him to bring old boy back.
It was because he knew
it was a redeeming thing. It wasn't because he wanted him to come back alive. It was selfishness.
It was selfish.
So I was like, yes, because I do it all the time in therapy. Try again, one more time.
But they both had a certain level of selfishness, I think, tied to it. They had, I think someone earlier said, like, there's pros and cons to
both of them.
To both of them. But the jealousy and the wanting to always one up the other.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like, damn, isn't that like, now we're more aware of it, but now that I'm in my 30s,
come on,
30. You get that feeling of like, oh, I'm not married yet. I don't have a house yet. I'm not at the peak of my career yet. So when I was looking at them, I said, goodness gracious, you keep comparing yourself to these other people because you feel like they're the standard. And so, but their relationship was
Society
very,
tell us that.
because that's how we're supposed, and that was the failure of them both.
Yeah.
Because Nathan was coming back home. Nathan was driving for what would have been, I guess, Uber.
Yeah.
Had a complete fucking meltdown.
Complete.
Writing wasn't happening whatsoever. And so he's coming back home, which we all had that fear of, oh, I can't move back home though. I can't. I feel like now people are like, oh, child, please move back home if you got to save yourself some coins. But I feel like with millennials for a little bit of time, it was oh, I can't go back home. Like, this is it. Once I leave, like once I fly, I'm done. I can't do that. And so it was interesting, Nathan coming back home, and then Marshall never leaving home. That character, that person that we know that gets stuck at home, and then the only person who's just never left. And so they get upset at everyone who's had opportunities to get out. And he feels like his life has no purpose. And Nathan was like, I got out. I was supposed to do all these great things. How the fuck did I end up coming back home?
And that is the truth. So much the truth that he didn't even tell his best friend that he was coming into town. He did not even tell
He
her.
didn't say anything.
Tell him. And the thing, okay, so it's levels to that. There's so many friendships, even people in the chat, even us, where you have grew up with somebody, whether it's a small town or a close-knit community or whatever. You left, thought you were going to make it. You had to come back. That happened to me. You had to come back. And then everybody else is still where they're at. You're having conversations about other stuff. People looking at you, you're looking at them. And then the separation starts to happen. And now you're uncomfortable with somebody who you grew up with,
Exactly.
who knows you well. You're uncomfortable around them, right? They're uncomfortable around you.
Yeah.
And it's also like, also in that moment, just as a side note, because this is just a little side note, there was, when I found out his mom told him in the grocery store that he was coming back, I said, parents, why do you do this? Why can't you just shut the fuck up? Because I'm telling you right now, I had a friend back in the day. I won't say her name because that's blasphemous. But I had a friend find out she was hating on me all the time. And I don't like to say people is hating because people just be living. But it was just like, we'll meet dudes, and then she would air out all my most embarrassing shit to the dude. We just met him. She did it all the time. Like, or she would like try to sleep with dudes I was dating. And I would just try to throw it in the back of my head. Like, whatever, it's her. She's living her life, whatever. But people like, nah, Brie, like she really ain't what's up. And I'll be giving people chances on chances on chances. You know me, Ashley. I'll be piling up, and I had to head out. I say all this to say, I went home for a funeral. My mama slid in her DM and said, hey, Brie there. Sheila! Sheila, what did you tell? And then she gets mad at me. Well, damn, I didn't know. Why didn't you consult with me before? I haven't talked to this girl in 8 years. So I got upset. When I found out, the mom said what she said in the grocery store. It hit a nerve. It hit a nerve. I'm going to say it. It hit a nerve. Because I'm like, Mom, why are you sliding in this girl's DM? Why?
Why are you telling her?
Sheila, shut the fuck up.
Parents be setting us up for the okie doke every single time.
Oh my goddamn nerve. And she would do it all the time. Like, we would go anywhere. She would tell people, even on Facebook, she would just air out and tag me in most embarrassing things I've done or said. And I used to be like, I can't even. Like, one time I was like trying to go, we were like doing this date, and I didn't get the chance to like shower because I was like at somebody's house, and it turned to a weekend thing, and I didn't have any changing clothes. I'm 19 out here in these streets. She was like, Brie didn't even wash her ass since Friday, so I don't know why you trying to flirt with her.
Don't tell me nothing else.
So what I'm saying is that one moment in the damn vlog, I was a killer. Why would you tell anybody that your son is home in the goddamn grocery store? Pissing me off. I was 19. I was in these streets, man. I was living it up. I was, I felt like when I was 19 and my early 20s, a one night thing often turned, when I was hanging out with folks, turned into a weekend thing. We were living out here, brunching it, going here, going there. That's what I'm saying, Tia. Goddamn hater. But anyway, we can get back to it. I'm sorry. I just had to speak my truth on that one piece. I think early 30s and late teenage years are the major pivots in a person's life. Yeah, I agree. My business everywhere. I had a whole I failed as an adult moment that lasted a while. Had a friend give me a talking to help. No, it's okay. The only thing she deserves is these hands, Aaron. Bree, that's a hot. She was a hater. The audacity, Jessica. Yes, you were too nice, Bree.
I was right. I was right. I did not know this. I just literally found this out. So Kyle Higgins is creating his own comic book universe through Image called the Massiverse.
And Radiant Black is going to be in it?
So Radiant Black is the start of it all. So there was this Radiant Black, and then there was a one-shot crossover entitled, which I'm about to go get as soon as we get off this called Supermassive, which introduces, it's a crossover between Radiant Black, Inferno Girl, and Rogue Sun, with a comic marking the first appearances of the latter two. The first of these new books to spawn out of this would be the title Rogue Sun, written by Parrott and illustrated by Abel, with its first issue releasing on March 2nd, 2022, and Inferno Girl set to debut in January 2023. In February 2022, it was announced that another book connected to the Massiverse would release in August entitled The Dead Lucky. The first official spinoff of Radiant Black released March 9th of 2022 entitled Radiant Red, with the miniseries written by Cherish Chen. Another spinoff, Radiant Pink, debuted. Supermassive. You talking about the one shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Supermassive.
Okay, I was just trying to find it.
Cole, which is the COWL thing I was talking about, was originally released in 2014, but has since been retroactively designated as part of the Massiverse. In December of 2022, it was announced that a new series entitled No One would launch in March of 2023 with Higgins and Brian Brucelato. It could be Brucelato or Brucelato, writing, and Geraldo Borges illustrating. That's wild.
Yeah, I didn't know though, Scarlett. As soon as they start doing the cover creations, I usually head out.
I head out too. The cover variants, yeah. I'm like, I'm done. So I usually don't, unless I'm reading it physically. Once I read it digitally, like I'm not reading through all that extra stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only person who does that, because I was like,
I said, look, I don't care what Tank and Bobo and them drew. Like, I gotta head out.
Okay, so now I'm curious, because now I want to look to see if Rogue Sun, it is. Rogue Sun of Volume 1 is on Hoopla.
Why are you doing this to me when I just downloaded a bunch of other comics?
I'm sorry.
I just downloaded the DC horror comics.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And then...
What'd you say that one called? It?
Rogue Sun. I wonder if Supermassive's on Hoopla too. Image usually puts all of their stuff on Hoopla, so I just... Hold on. Supermassive.
Yeah. Oh, I do. Oh, I see Rogue Planet. That's not it. Well, maybe we don't have
to buy that one shot.
Yeah, it's $3.99.
That's not bad.
Yeah. I just got Soul Plummet. You know what that is? It's a DC Horror Presents. And then I got DC Horror Presents again, The Conjuring. And then I got Lazarus Volume 1. Trying to see if I like that series.
I didn't like Lazarus, but that's me.
Oh,
But that's just me. It was an art style thing for me.
yeah. And then I need to finish reading Blackbird Volume 1. The art is really beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that pretty, y'all?
Blackbird is beautiful. It's a good story, but that's the only one, and it's slightly confusing. The artwork is gorgeous, and he didn't continue after that, which I felt like there was more to the story than what we got. But that's
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
halfway through, so I'm trying to figure out how you spell rogue.
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 Uh-huh.
Sun, right? SON or SUN?
SUN.
Oh, I put SON. That's where I sucked.
I think you also have to buy the Dead Lucky unless they're just going to wait to release it as a trade. Sorry, y'all. This was a complete and total detour, but I just found out that little bit of information and thought I would share it because I know I was talking about reading Radiant Red and Radiant Pink, but damn, now there's even more stuff to read because I did not realize that he was creating. That's why I kept reading it. I was like, man, this feels like this man is creating his own universe. And Radiant Black is like kind of like the center of the narrative, and we have all these things that build off of that, which explains why that 2014 publication of Cal is retroactively added to the universe because they mention it so much in that first volume and all throughout actually because because Marshall loves it so daggone much.
Makes sense. I'm gonna tell y'all right here, right now. I'm doing a 24-hour read along on Friday and Saturday. You're welcome to join, Ashley.
You said a 24-hour readathon.
Starting on Friday, ending on Saturday. I might start it at, I don't know. Because everybody else can start when they want. You can start at 8 a.m. You can start at midnight. I kind of want to start later in the day on Friday.
Okay.
But I am offering daytime sprints for people who are starting earlier than me.
Okay.
And then I'm going to sprint on Friday too. I just don't know when.
Yeah, this might be if you are interested in it that much. It might be worth. This is real. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out one more thing before we share some other thoughts before we hop off, because I forgot that Image did something else that's weird.
Aaron.
What Aaron said?
Aaron, I have appreciated you since the very beginnings of my channel. Don't ever change.
Not.
Don't ever change.
Not you just said.
It's really the comics propaganda too, because I was like, I'm not reading comics. That's for kids. And
okay.
Said,
please don't kill me, y'all. There's another series that's tied into this.
Here we go. Let me go on Hoopla.
I'm sorry. It's not on Hoopla.
I gotta buy
And this series is connected. Not all the issues. I think it's maybe just 3 of these issues are connected to it. And then this is that's the cover of the Image ! Issue number 1.
It makes sense. I see the sign.
Yep, that's him right there.
What is it called?
It's in the chat.
It's just called Image?
With the exclamation point.
And the funny thing is, this man is writing this universe with my favorite fucking comic publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it on purpose. And again, I still never thought I would have a favorite. It's literally Image and then Boom. And then it's like IDW. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
IDW.
There's Image, IDW, Black
Yeah.
Horse. Is IDW a favorite because of Lock and Key?
And Bitterroot, I think, is IDW, right? Or is that Image? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
There's a couple I've read that was IDW and they hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm gonna have to hang out with y'all. But Image is number one. I'm sorry. None's coming from Image. Then boom. Then IDW. That's how that'd be my top three. I'm sorry they're not Marvel or DC yet. But that's kind of where I'm at. Let me see. Bitterroot. What's Bitterroot?
I feel like it was Image that did Bitterroot though, but I could be wrong.
Listen, you could be right. Ooh. Damn, I'm trying to Google it. Can't find it. Hold on. Bitterroot. Bitterroot. I hate it
Wait,
when.
I'm confused, Jessica. What am I supposed to be looking for?
Oh my God, just leave me alone. Let me look it up. My phone just won't let me do anything apparently right now. Shit.
Oh, it is. There's that one shot. Supermassive. The ratings on this are just good. Where they're saying Supermassive, it's like being there for the beginning of Marvel as black market narrative gears up for a huge Image Comics based superhero shared universe. It's gonna be big. And you're right. I'm glad this is easier to get through because it's at its baby stages. It has not exploded yet. I don't know how I missed this.
It's Image. It's Image.
It's Image. Okay.
Took me too long. I need
I can't
to.
believe I missed this.
I don't own it. Oh, what sad life I'll have. I thought I owned Bitterroot.
I don't own Bitterroot physically. I do not.
The omnibus hardcover comes out this month. Yay! A Bitterroot. Sorry, nobody asked for that, but I got excited. Hold on. Things are coming. How much is it? Comic independent stores. Let's do that. Or Indigo.
An arm and a leg.
No, don't tell me that.
Mm-hmm. What?
Oh yes, $59.99.
Yep.
This is my thing. If it goes on, if Target is selling it, I'm gonna wait till they do that 20% off situation, and I'm gonna get it.
I wish this thing with I don't have a problem with digital art. I like digital art. It doesn't bother me. I also see a lot of digital art in picture books now, and I think I'm just growing accustomed to it.
Yes. Thank y'all for using the birthday bot. I'm trying to find other cool bots to use in my Discord. That was really random, but let's see. Yes, it's Image, Discord, and I was coming to ask Jessica the same thing. Ashley, how do you feel about digital art versus actual drawing? Ashley?
I just answered that.
Oh, you did? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Related?
Yeah, so if you look up Rogue Sun Volume 2,
okay,
which I don't see that anywhere on my Goodreads.
Is the person who created Radiant Black a white man?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which is part of my surprise.
Yeah, that's why I said interesting.
Yeah. That's why whenever I read, that's why when I read the third volume, when I said earlier he did a good job from the lens that he was writing from, that's what I was talking about. It's a white man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He is.
I would be interested to see if him and Brian would do something.
I don't know. I think Brian has a lot on his plate. So I mean, that's not to say that it would never happen. But I wonder how much that Brian has a lot on his plate. Kyle has a lot on his plate because he's the brains behind. Even though there's different writers
Mm-hmm.
on all these projects, there's a different writer for Radiant Pink. There's a different writer for Radiant Red, which is also another good, interesting point of how we would feel about it because it's not Kyle writing those.
Oh, I thought he was writing those.
Mm-mm.
So he must have been like, hey, this is Radiant Black. This is volume 1 and volume 2, the blueprint. Y'all see what y'all can do with this.
Which is, I mean, it makes sense when you think
Yeah.
about if we're thinking about this as kind of he's modeling this out of what we would typically see in Marvel and DC. It only makes sense that he would have a shared universe, but in no shared universe in Marvel or DC are you going to just deal with one writer. You know that.
No, I know that.
Yeah,
I was
so
just thinking that he's gonna outlive him.
That's what you do. It's money. If he can get this whole project to kind of take foot in a financially beneficial way, he never would have to write. Think Stan Lee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you would never have to really write once you've done all the writing that you feel like doing.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, did Stan Lee have an estate that still gets paid, and then that money
I
goes to
would not be surprised because anytime you see any character that Stanley created, even if it's someone else's run of a character, like someone doing Spider-Man, they will pay homage and say original character created by.
Damn, so I just, Googled his estate. It says Stanley estate settles elder abuse suit against ex-business manager. Like, really?
Wait, what?
Apparently his ex-business manager was doing shady shit. He was worth $50 million before he passed. Yeah, he gets royalty even from merchandise that Disney sells.
It's not surprising. Although Stan Lee was very interesting.
I still got beef with him.
He's a very interesting writer, and so you know what premiered on Disney Plus today?
Black Panther.
I forgot. That's what I'm about to do when I get off this call. This live.
Listen, I'm trying to see Tenoch in them tights. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I feel like we need another live because
I think we do too.
It's just so good.
It is. Okay, so first of all, what is our next pick?
Okay, I'll do that. Give me a second. You know.
I feel like I should know this off the top of my head.
I need to read this Swamp Thing volumes I have over here. It's looking at me. I'm looking at it.
Think about the extensive swamp. Well, Swamp Thing has. Or am I thinking? No, I'm thinking about something else. Am I thinking about something else? I am thinking about Swamp Thing's Alan Moore.
Oh, yes. Hold up. I'm about to show
Thank
you.
you, Monica. The nice house on the lake.
Oh man, I was about to.
Oh, you were getting it. I'm sorry, Bree.
I was about to.
I thought you were getting something related to Alan Moore.
Oh, I was grabbing it.
Listen, because I was like, when I said Alan Moore, you were like, yes. I was like, man,
No,
you probably
Ashley
saw
bought me
something else.
this.
I did. That was a birthday gift.
Yes. Are we just doing volume 1?
Yeah, because volume 2 won't be out yet.
Oh, but still, I'm ready.
And my copy's
Ooh.
downstairs.
You know, I love art like this. It's giving Bitter Root vibe.
Oh, that one's dark.
Yeah, I mean, like the art. I like art like this. I don't like perfect art. I like art that looks like sketches.
Oh.
That's my shit.
Aaron, don't leave the internet forever. Just embrace it. Ashley, what are those Venom comics you're reading last year? So I was going back through essentially, I could tell you exactly what I was doing. I was reading things to catch up to which I still need to continue, to catch up to the massive King in Black event that Marvel had a couple of years back. I'm just very, very intrigued about the origin of Venom, and his relationship to Carnage and Spider-Man. Just that whole, even though I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan, I just think the pairing of, the coupling of the three of them together in the Spider-Verse is just very interesting. And so what I was doing is I was going back and reading some really, really old Spider-Man comics from like the 90s, where I was learning more about Carnage, because the event that I think takes place before King in Black, it's 2 events, but I can't remember what order they're in. It's Maximum Carnage and Absolute Carnage. I can't remember which one goes first, but those 2 events take place before King in Black. And so to prepare to read Absolute Carnage and Maximum Carnage, there's a little background information that you have to know about Spider-Man and how he's related to, not like familial related to, but how the character of Spider-Man is related to the character of Carnage. Because Carnage is not just this random animal or random creature. He was actual man that was, I believe he was a serial killer. And you have the symbiotes at play, which is the whole thing about King in Black, which is how Miles Morales gets his black costume. That's how you see, if you've watched any of the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire with the black costume, Spider-Man black costume, that's a symbiote. The first person to come in contact with it, I believe it wasn't Daredevil. It was Deadpool. Deadpool was the first of the Marvel characters to come into contact with it, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Daredevil or Deadpool. It's one of the 2 of them was the first to come into contact with it. And then essentially it touches everybody in the Marvel universe to some capacity. And so this guy, this King in Black, you literally first meet him in one of my favorite comic book issues of all time, which is Thor, issue number 6 by Jason Aaron. This huge commentary on religion from the perspective of an atheist, but in comic book form, and essentially introducing this new entity that would become the driving force behind everyone's connection to this symbiote. It was Deadpool. Thanks, y'all.
Not your OneNote open. Come on, Scarlett.
It's a very interesting piece of the Marvel universe that I'm gravitating towards, that I really want to kind of like dive into. There's some other stuff, but for right now, like for some reason, I think because I love morally great characters. Honestly, it was a Jason Aaron thing that kind of caught my attention. That Thor issue number 6, that really was kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Not saying that everything's going to be written like him, but I think that it drove me to wanting to know more about this little corner of the Marvel Universe and how everyone was so connected. And I like morally great characters, and Eddie Brock, who is Venom, is very much so a morally great character. He's not good, but he's not evil either. And the relationship that he has with Peter Parker is very interesting, to say the least. And some of those early 90s comics are like childhood vibes all the way. I enjoyed those 90s Spider-Man comics that I was reading, and I'm not a huge fan of Spider-Man. I've read Spider-Man when Stan Lee was writing Spider-Man, and just not my favorite. But I also think I'm just not a fan of Stan Lee's writing, even though Stan Lee, Steve Ditko pairing is iconic. Stan's writing is a hot mess to get through sometimes.
I typically don't like superheroes in my comics, typically, until Radiant Black.
Yeah, I think the whole concept and idea of a superhero universe is just it's intimidating, and I could understand why a lot of people have a tendency to kind of stay away from DC and Marvel, and they have a very difficult time attracting new readers because of the complexity of the worlds that they have. It's kind of hard to find that jumping in point. And I know even with like me talking about it, to me, it makes sense, but I can also understand how what I'm saying just sounds like a whole bunch of jumbled up mess. If you're not
right here, right now, you're clear.
Huh?
You are clear to me, and I don't know shit.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because a lot of times I feel like it's like not jumbled in like the way I'm speaking, but it just doesn't make sense when it's coming out, because I know what and how things flow and when to read what, but I'm learning just like everyone else.
Yeah.
I think that people often forget that like I'm very much so still a newbie at this.
She lying on the internet, y'all. That's crazy.
I am. I'm still a newbie at this. I think I just have kind of a slight obsession, a fixation with it.
Not the slight.
It is, because I love and with these newer ideations of some of these characters, you start to get that real world feeling about them. You know what I'm saying? So like, back in the day, these superheroes were very much so structured as perfect human beings. Yeah. Even though they weren't all human. I mean, you think about Wonder Woman and you think about Superman, like they're not human.
Watchmen.
At all. You know? But they're perfect. And so now with these newer writers and illustrators on these stories, I feel like you get more imperfect heroes, which is easier to relate to. It doesn't make the universes any less complicated to jump into. Like, this year is my year that I really, really want to dive into X-Men, but X-Men is probably one of the most intimidating parts of the Marvel universe for me. And it's so intimidating. I have to remind people sometimes that the X-Men are, in fact, a Marvel. Because people forget, and it's understandable why they would forget, because X-Men is like its own. It's
really its own thing, really.
It's become its own thing, but you know, I would love to read some of the old, especially the X-Men comics from the 90s. I would love to pick up some of those, but for right now, I know I just want to start with Jonathan Hickman's ideation of X-Men, because I've heard good things about it. But even then, that ideation of X-Men is extremely comprehensive and has a lot of different series, and there's a whole lot of interconnectedness, which is why I always appreciate these people who go out and they read. All they do for a living is read comics.
Talking about Harold?
Yeah, Dave. I fangirled when I met him. So if y'all didn't know, Comic Book Harold, the person I always recommend.
Come on, speak your truth. Do your life flex.
such a light flex. So they actually had invited me to do some podcasting with them a couple years back, and so I did some podcasting with them for a few episodes, which was really, really fun. But Dave spends so much time reading comics, and he has this extensive and well organized website where you literally can track and follow along with any character or any major event that you want to follow, which I think is amazing. But even when you go through those guides, you can see how much work goes into each of them and how extensive it is. But I use those guides as well, because a lot of times I don't necessarily know where to start with everything, especially when it comes to
Like
DC and
Sandman.
Marvel. It's a lot. But when you start talking about more indies, I think people like to cling to indie because it feels more accessible to me in a lot of ways, where people are like, oh, well, DC and Marvel, you can just jump into, but the intimidation factor is not always there when you think about picking up a series from Image or picking up a series from IDW or or Dark Horse. Like you don't have to stress as much. Or even like you have some smaller indie presses that I really enjoy, like Scout Comics, Aftershock. They put out some of my favorites that I've read as single issues. Those are just, you feel like you could slide right into them. But you start thinking Marvel and DC, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the reason why I like Image, IDW, and Boom is because they're different stories. In my mind, superheroes is primarily what DC and Marvel do, and I'm just tired of reading and seeing about superheroes. Even though I like Wakanda and I love Black Panther, I'm just kind of drained on the superheroes. And I know that's not all they do, but that's what they're more famous for. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit about Superman. I don't give a shit about Venom. I don't give a shit about none of that. So that's although there is a Venom volume that you loved that I want to read because I just want to read it. You asked Deidre to read it. Remember, it's like
it wasn't Venom, that's Batman.
Oh, it was Batman. Whatever.
Yes, it's Batman Quarter Owls. That Scott Snyder's running Batman.
Yeah, so I wanted to read that one because why not? But superheroes is a bit too much for me.
People often forget too that DC has DC, I think, does a little bit more outside of the superhero, because technically the Nice House Across the Lake is DC. Is DC Black Label.
Yeah.
And then you had, the now defunct Vertigo, which is people forget that Vertigo is DC, but that you get one of my favorite series of all time out of Vertigo is Fables.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love Fables. It has.
I wish I knew that. I got a couple single issues.
Yeah, I love Fables. It's one of my favorites of all time. I have the big compendiums of Fables because I love it so much. But Fables is another one that's a pretty extensive universe, because you have the Fables main line, then you have Cinderella, then you have Jackal Fables, and then you have is it Into the Heartlands or something like that? Then you have Ever After. Then you have the princess-based one or something like that. It's a pretty extensive universe, but if you like retellings, Fables is definitely like it is.
I might like that. I haven't read them yet, but I might like that primarily because I do want to get into some retellings. But I've been seeing a lot of the retellings are like romance based, like Kaylee Barron and what's her name?
Oh yeah, it's so with Fables, there are romantic elements to it, but it's not a romance. It literally, you're following these fairy tale beings, traditional Snow White, Big Bad Wolf, Pinocchio, the whole gang. They've been moved from their land by what they call the adversary, and he's pretty much pushed them into New York. So they all live in New York in disguise, and then those that can't take a human disguise live in upstate New York, like the animals and stuff like that. Think Big Bad Wolf, Three Little Pigs, they all live upstate New York. And the entire time they're trying to Echo is good, the one that you're holding up.
Oh, yeah.
Um
My fables.
the whole point is them trying to defeat the adversary and make it back to their homelands. So it's really interesting, but also, like I said, extensive.
This is my only Fantastic Four. There's a issue I'm looking forward to collect one day. I'm gonna put it in a frame, and I'm put it up. And it's the issue that you held.
Good luck.
Because
Good luck ever finding that.
when it's the first. I think
Appearance of Black Panther.
No, I know that, but I think it was the first comic I ever read on my Cosmic.
It was.
It was, right?
It was, because you did a video on it.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need that to be framed. But
Yeah.
it's hundreds of dollars to get you a copy. But
Hundreds. Even try thousands. Now with Black Panther being the franchise that it is now.
yeah, not
Yeah, as it's a first appearance, like that's like
I know.
that's why I fangirl when he came to the so basically what ended up happening, because I never told anybody what that backstory was. So basically what ended up happening was I got to visit an academic library because we have a connection with them, and they have a special library, and one of their collections is comics. And so they have all of these old school their comic collection is worth $2 million. Okay. They have a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, which, if you know anything about that, that is the first appearance of fucking Spider-Man. They own a copy.
Wow. Did you touch it?
Huh?
Did you touch it?
He told me, because we were touring other collections that they had, and he told me that I could contact him whenever I wanted to do a session where he would pull whatever I was most interested in, and I could flip through and read.
Listen.
And we'll do it when you come visit. I promise you, we'll do it when you come visit.
But the bigger question is he okay with you filming it?
Yeah, they filmed me too. I have footage from it.
I'm just saying you should do a separate one with him and be like, you guys, I am touching liquid gold. And then
it was wild because so he works specifically with rare books. It's something else that rare books and items. So when he first came up and he was doing his presentation, he was like, yeah, he has a first edition copy of Pride and Prejudice, which, of course, I didn't know until I got there that the originals were actually published in volumes and not as a complete book. So he had the original,
wow.
He had first edition copies of we all know how we feel about this, but it's pretty interesting. He has first edition copies of Charles Darwin's writings. He has first edition copies of who wrote Fahrenheit 451?
Oh, Fahrenheit. No. Oh my God, the name is.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I thought it was George Orwell, but maybe that's not it. That's 1984. Yes. Who the fuck wrote Oh, I know. Okay, hold up.
I'm not gonna say it out loud. I had to look.
Hold up.
I'm not gonna say it out loud. Don't look at the chat.
Fuck, Fahrenheit. Oh my God, it's there. I see it. I'm gonna have to look at the chat.
Ray Bradbury.
Ray Bradbury. There we go.
Okay,
God
so
damn it.
apparently somebody knew Ray Bradbury. And so they have signed first edition copies of his stuff.
I read Fahrenheit 451.
51. They have his bicycle. They have bar stools that were in his house.
Not
They have F. Scott Fitzgerald's flask, which
I want to go to his house. You know, it ain't too far from where I
Yeah.
live.
they have
wanna
F.
go to
Scott
his house.
Fitzgerald's flask, which was, of course, engraved by his wife. She got it engraved. They have the flask. And I'm like, how do you get this stuff? And he was like, you know, somebody that knows somebody knows somebody, and then they donate it to the collection. But anyway,
Uh-huh.
going back to the comics. So basically, he was talking about all this stuff, and I was like, but over at the corner of my eye, I was like, why does it look like a bag and board? I said, it looked like a bag and board. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, you know how you sit in class and you're like, I'm here, but I'm not really here. Like, this is cool, but I'm also tired and I could be at my desk doing my work right now.
Right.
But I saw a bag and board. I said, I know this man don't have no comics. I didn't know at that point that they had an extensive comic collection. And so all of a sudden he walks back over to his little cart and he pulls up. I said, oh my God, the comics. And then he held up the Fantastic Four issue.
Oh, I would have passed away right
It
there.
was like, but listen, the whole room turned and looked at me because he held up. I said, no, you don't. And he said, oh, I see we have a comic book reader. I said, you're absolutely
No.
And I said, oh my God. I said, I was like, it's real? And it's like, yes, it's real. And it's like, it's a first printing copy. He was like, yes. I was like, oh my God. He was like, would you like to hold it? I said, can I hold
Would
it?
I like to hold it? That's asking me if I'm really breathing in air.
But
What are
then
you
he was
talking
like, then
about?
he was like, you can take it out the bag and board and read it.
Wow, what a time. What a time to be alive.
I was like, oh my gosh. So then he actually took us down. He took some of us that were able to stay a little bit longer. He took us down into their stacks where it's like this kind of like vault area, basically. And he just has long boxes, nothing but just straight comics, and temperature controlled room.
Wow.
Comics. Yes.
Wow. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Control for me.
Beautiful.
My thing, I would have said, look, you can give me some gloves, sir, but I'm gonna need to be here for at least 10 to 15 business years.
Well, I felt for him because they actually have to go through and catalog every issue. And so what ended up happening was this guy who just donated. He just collected anything he saw that was a comic from back in the day.
Yeah.
He just collected. And he just put them in these long boxes. And he said he could tell as the guy started to age, he became less organized. Because when he was younger, he would organize them until they have these long boxes with like DC Golden Age, A through L. DC Golden Age, like box number 1, box number 2, box number 3.
Oh, he was a collector.
He was a collector. And I'm like, not even DC and Marvel, even the more obscure comics that used to come out that you could buy at like gas stations. This man had, not realizing how much they were going to be worth. And he donated this entire collection. And now they have it and they have some gems and they literally go through and they catalog every single one. But he was telling me that they actually went through and cataloged some of the bigger characters like Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, based on what requests, because they do this with the general public too. Like you can call them and book a session.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was like, usually the Spider-Man, they knew they had to get a good portion of that catalog. They knew that they had to get, he had some requests where an actual professor was teaching a class based around Wonder Woman. And so he had cataloged all that stuff too. I was like, this is just, I said, maybe I got into the wrong part of librarianship. Maybe the preservation.
No, I'm just saying, they got openings.
Child, he ain't never leaving that job. I would never retire from that job.
Listen, how old is he?
He's about our age.
Fuck.
I was sizing him up.
I'm like, oh, is that a limp? Are you
Listen,
okay?
right? You walking with like something wrong with that hip right there.
Alright.
Be careful.
see
There's some
them.
water. You might slip and fall.
I see them grays. Ooh, not an
No,
accident.
no.
Damn, he our age.
Yeah,
Damn.
he's our age, and he let us see some other
It's
stuff
not a
too.
two-man job?
No, they listen. When we got into the vault, we had to leave our bags outside, and it was key code in like this was national treasure type shit.
And
And
because it is.
legitimately, it was because they had some Bibles in there that were like one was signed by Pope. Yeah, it's an automatic relic.
That's how I feel like the Magnum Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he also had the original document on paper with the King's seal of when our state became a colony. And I got to look at that and take pictures of that too.
Wow. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
right now. I'm gonna tell you here, right? Is my plant dying? Like, come on, bro. I'm trying to have a situation. We're gonna talk about this after this live. This is my thing. You didn't even ask about jobs?
They don't have any openings. I know they don't. I know for a fact that they don't have any openings. And he's not leaving. You know he's not going to leave that job no time soon.
But it
And
can't
that's why
be
when I was
a
there,
two-man job.
listen, because when he was talking, I was like, actually, you should have gone into archival librarianship. Because that's like history and all this stuff mixed into one.
Can you do a class and add it to your master's?
Yeah, I'm sure I could. I'm sure it's an additional.
You're still young, baby.
Child, my mom is trying to get me to go back to school and get my PhD.
Listen, 0 out of 10. Don't worry.
I know. That's why I kept looking at it. I said, I don't.
It's worth it, but it's just a lot of fucking.
It's a lot of
Like
stuff.
I met with my advisor 2 days ago, and she told me what I have to do to prep for the largest part of my dissertation.
Uh-huh.
And I said, how am I going to do YouTube and also that?
Child, I heard the dissertation is where dissertation and make and break people, man.
I said I'm pass away. But what I'm going to do is I'll feel sorry for my patrons. That's going to be sprints probably every day. Like when I got to get into the thick of it, we're doing this together. That PhD is for us.
Writing sprints to help you write.
Yeah, we sprinting it up.
All right, y'all. That's it. That's our
That's
our discussion. We are, like we said, we are reading The Nice House on the Lake for February's pick is A Nice House on the Lake. We'll keep y'all updated on the live show date. In the meantime, definitely check out those spinoffs to Radiant Black. I didn't realize this was this whole universe. I know that I'm going to be interested in really picking some of that stuff up, as if my to be read list with comics and graphic novels and manga isn't long enough already. But here we are.
Just living our lives.
But I'm glad to have you all here tonight. Thanks for the amazing discussion.
As
And
always.
we will be back soon. Oh, yeah, we do. You're right. You're absolutely right. We didn't get to talk. I think that we're going to have to do a follow-up. I think we should do a follow-up where giving people the opportunity to read Radiant Pink and Radiant Black.
Oh, I love that.
And some of the spinoffs, and then come back for a part 2 discussion, because I think that this is definitely more than an hour and a half worth of conversation. And if this wasn't a weeknight, I would keep going, but it is a weeknight and we both have work and school. Mm-hmm. So thank you all for coming. Don't worry. We will drop that information in the Discord group and let y'all know. Good night.
Bye.